Hello and welcome to Make It Normal. I'm Adam, I'm your host, and a bit of housekeeping before we start. I am now in a new room, new house. It's also very echoey. Everyone will probably hear me when I'm talking at the moment. My two housemates are probably wondering what the hell's going on, which is brilliant. Excellent. Right, on with the show.
Hey guys, we're here to talk about stuff. Sometimes it's silly, sometimes it's serious. But don't worry about us getting too formal. We're only here to make it normal.
Ladies. So I'm calling this one an appeal to feminists because I'm annoyed at feminists at the moment. Well, not feminists as a whole. Just a small group of annoying, vocal minority feminists. Basically, I just saw a post on my university's FemSoc page, Facebook page, and basically about Emma Watson's speech being too catering to men and watering down the ideas of feminism, which doesn't really make any sense, and I'll go into that in a bit. But the four points that this four points in short, that makes it a bit easier to see. Right, so the four main points that this person raised were: sexism can't be against men, racism can't be against Caucasians, phobias can't be against cis people, phobias can't be against heterosexuals. Those don't make any sense at all. Like, just learn some words, learn how to words before you start complaining about things, because sexism and racism, all that means is concerning sex and concerning race. Sex as in the male-female, not as in sexual intercourse. I probably should have made that clear earlier. Anyway, so this person's main point was that you can't be aggressive toward, well, you can't downtread a group that aren't being oppressed in the conventional sense, even though you clearly can. I mean, it's just ridiculous saying that. All of these 4 points can easily be argued by looking at the very same people that made the points, i.e. these, well, the term feminazi gets thrown around a lot, and, well, you have to admit that they are pretty right-wing. These vocal minority of feminists, all bandying about this whole privilege thing with your, oh, you're male, and you're white, and you're cis, and you're heterosexual, and you're like, well, you're putting them down for that. You're putting these people down for things that they can't actually change about themselves, that they're white, that they're male, that they have a cisgender identity, that they're heterosexual. And that's just plain ridiculous, because if you really look at what feminism was, it was about gender equality, and not about putting people down because they're not the same gender as you. That's the opposite of what it's about. Anyway, I'm getting a bit ranty now, and I kind of have other things to say, so I'm going to move on. So the other point they made was about watering down feminism, and there's a lot of things in the comment thread about people saying that men can join, yeah, it's fine, but as long as they don't change our ideals. Which doesn't make any sense, because as soon as something becomes beyond criticism, above criticism, then it becomes totalitarian. It ceases to be anything productive. If bringing men into feminism is watering down their ideas, then what would be making their ideas stronger? What? Men hating? And that's exactly what Emma Watson in her speech was railing against, the idea that feminists are all man-hating. And it's not productive to the goal of feminism at all. Anyway, on to Emma Watson's speech. First of all, Emma Watson, I kind of love you. You're awesome. You're not watching this video, but if you were, you're awesome. Like, very awesome. I'm off track. So, all of the points raised in her speech were pretty much true. Like, the whole idea that gender stereotypes don't just affect women and girls, that they affect men and boys as well, is really pertinent, because you can't just tackle one side of an issue. There's no point just going, oh yes, we'll just make girls feel more comfortable in doing these stereotypically manly jobs and going into things like science, when you're still putting down male children and boys for wanting to do girly jobs like stereotypically nursing and things like the arts and dance, and calling it gay, which is hilariously homophobic. The whole idea of gender stereotypes is especially pertinent in the teenage years, as that's when people are really trying to find themselves and trying to work out who they are and who they want to be. So if we keep enforcing these gender stereotypes on both boys and girls, especially in the teenage years, that's going to really affect them later in life. As Emma Watson said, I mean, suicide is still the highest killer of young males, and there's got to be a reason behind that. It can't just be a freak accident. So on to part 3. This bit I'm on about solving gender equality, and I don't believe it's going to be anything fast. It's going to be quite a slow and a long process. I mean, some things can happen quickly, like changes in law and policies, but other things are going to take time, changes in gender stereotypes and the views of society of specific genders. You can't solve it with just one part of society. That's like saying we can solve racism by only involving Asian people, or only involving white people, or only involving Hispanic people. Because if sexism, if racism, if phobias are endemic in the population, then the entire breadth of human society has to deal with it. You can't just pick chunks and say, you must deal with this, or say, we're going to deal with this, no one else can. Because you can't. You can't just deal with things like that on your own. Because what it does is it engenders a whole society of hate for this one group, as happens on the internet a lot with feminists. So that's all I have to say about this topic at the moment. If you want to have a conversation or argument about it, do so in the comments below. And remember to make it normal by keeping it weird. I've been Adam. I'll see you on Thursday. More unusable footage. Yay! That's just fucking dandy.